happening as I'm coming up here. Seeing a lot of headstones, graves.
Okay.
So that's interesting. So it doesn't always mean that there's somebody like a cemetery nearby, but sometimes it means that there are a lot of deaths attributed to an area.
Right.
I feel as though I should talk about this woman pointing at the river, and she makes me feel like my journey as I go to Ohio is going to lead me to this river.
There is this woman by the pylons, I guess is what those are.
Now, is this the same woman you sensed earlier?
Yes. There's two things that are happening. She has a lot of trauma to her body. She seems to have come out of the water. And I see something very unfortunate that I didn't see the first time. There's a small child about 5 to 6 years old that's down there also.
Okay.
And that's what she's screaming for help for. I can see her frantically going to the water, and that feels like I need somebody to help me.
I mean, that kind of goes back to the spirit box coming through about a child needing help.
Yes.
Let's keep moving further down this way, but I want to just let you know, man, the stuff that you're picking up on is literally spot on. It's almost as if there's two different time frames maybe reaching out to you at the same time.
Okay.
But your images and the stories you're telling, the pictures you're painting are definitely in a line with why I brought you here.
On the way over, we were walking against the limestone wall some more, and I heard a man, just his voice. He told me, "You're starting to activate us." So it's kind of a warning to me that we have been poking around a little too much, and who's ever here likes not being seen or known to most of the living world.
Okay.
So that's important. So what that also means to me is that the people who live here and work here probably have paranormal experiences and are either writing them off or too afraid to talk it to their neighbors or coworkers about it.
Okay.
What was happening as I crossed here was I felt the water rise and I felt like I was drowning. So I felt like even though we are here, that the water came up and I was swallowed and I drowned in this spot. So at some point this river must have come up here and killed some people because that's how I felt about it. And someone very important owned something here. Something here, I don't know how old or new any of these buildings are, but there was a very important building that was right over here. Who's ever in charge and owned this building, not this is modern, but whatever building or structure was here, they had a lot of influence and a lot of power.
It's interesting that you pointed all of that out.
Okay.
We stopped here for a reason.
Okay.
Because I wanted to take you to one of these specific buildings.
Okay.
And you made mention to that. So you see this greenish brick building with the arching door entrance?
Yeah.
Yeah, that plays a huge part of our story.
Okay.
And you tackled something that I'm very interested about because I didn't even think about it. The grave digger.
Yeah.
Could he be associated with business?
Yeah,
Maybe if we get a little bit closer, the message might become a little bit more clear.
all right. So we're over here by this building. What I want to say this too. So far, nobody has come up to me and said their name, which means that they are not looking for me to know who they are. So we're literally digging into their past, and it's not necessarily something they may want us to see. So we walked along the limestone wall. I got told, "You're starting to upset us." And then we moved even closer to what you know is a part of the story and may actually be the hornet's nest of the entire thing. I also feel like I should talk about textiles for clothing or building things. Some kind of manufacturing has association with this building. So it's not just importing and exporting things. There's also things being manufactured there. I feel like the hallways and the walls would tell me a different story about the things that happened there when the lights were off.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak to us? Very careful. Why should we be careful? Heard it's creepy. So is this something that Scott and I should not be pursuing? The next question.
Who is in charge here?
Me?
What's your name? How long have you been here? Scared? Get out of here.
Why don't you want us here? Something about most of us helping. Are there a lot of people here that need help? It's sure.
Is there someone here keeping other spirits here? I feel like I heard monster and feeding and images. What sorts of things happen in this building that we should know about?
What's that? I know. What do you think most of that?
Plenty of things. Something about high. What type of things were hidden here?
What's happening now is I am starting to get a psychic attack. They are starting, who's ever here is starting to project images to me that would be terrifying to most people. I can see dismemberment, a lot of blood, and it goes along with that anger and that pushing people out who shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
So if you were to stand out here and just start getting in your head dismemberment, murder, blood, how would you feel?
Yeah, overwhelmed.
Right, and you'd want to move, right?
Exactly.
And that's what's happening.
What's up, Phantoms? I hope you're enjoying the show, and if you are, do me a favor and hit the bell so you don't miss an upload. Also, hit the subscribe button so you can help our channel grow. After that, head over to phantomforensics.com and purchase a digital download package. Some of those packages even come with really nice physical goodies. Every single package that is purchased helps go towards making a new episode of Phantom Forensics. And guess what? We can't do it without your support. So please head over to phantomforensics.com right now and get your digital download package. There's lots of cool things in there that you're not going to want to miss out on, including an hour-long Q&A with myself and Dalen, the opportunity for a live Q&A, and also you have the opportunity, if you get in on time, to get in on a gallery reading with me. The spots are really limited, so I really need you to get in there right now. Don't miss out. phantomforensics.com right now.
I'm just gonna tell you what I get from holding whatever's in those envelopes.
Well, let's just say this is just our little spin on remote viewing.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go. It's not a big check, unfortunately.
Okay.
I got hit with this really loud noise, whoa. It was so loud. It was it was deafening when you handed this to me. When I'm connecting to this, I feel like I'm being pulled in many directions. There's a lot of fighting. I don't know if this is physical fighting, emotional, however it is, but it is one side against another. There might be more than just two sides. There could be a couple sides because of the directions that I feel that I'm getting pulled in. And it's a very emotional feeling. There's also a horseshoe that came right in with it as you handed it to me. I need all of you people who are yelling and arguing that are with
whatever's happening here to relax a little bit. I'm gonna listen to you. This feels very much as tied into the earlier energy from today. There is a lot of emotion pulling and vying for space, and it's very important to all of the people who are attached to whatever this is. And I feel like I should say that there's a symbol that comes with this, and it reminds me of like a wagon wheel. So I don't know exactly what to make of that, but there's a circle and it has some spokes to it, and that seems to be important. Where do we go here for? I get pulled away from here. I don't know what any of this means, so just bear with me. I got some kind of image of a woman washing her face, brushing her hair, and grooming herself and taking care of herself. And with her comes this huge feeling of love, and it's a much different feeling than the fighting and the anger and the aggravation that I was feeling on the other side of it. So there seems to be a woman that is involved somehow with the space. And she may have had a lot to do with all of the other stuff. Not that she's to blame, but she found herself in the middle of things. There's a bunch of men arguing about like how things should run, how they should be. And then on the other side of it is this really delicate but strong person, this woman, who just feels like she's attached somehow to one of these men, and she's kind of behind the scenes pulling the strings really, and kind of helping guide the fight, so to speak, or the direction of one of these men that was trying to be in power. Now I'd like to see a little bit more of the bring me there. Yeah, bring me there. It's another guy. He looks older than he is. I think that he must have aged not terribly well. He's probably 55 to 60 years old. He has like big swollen up cheeks, white hair that's brushed to the side, and he really feels like somebody that is formally in charge of things. And he's pulling money out of his pockets, and he did a lot with money, development. And maybe something about a feed store. Keep saying the word feed, and I think it's like a feed store that he's talking about for like animals. And his message is just that he tried to keep the peace, but people kept coming in and trying to take over. So whoever he is, he's pretty influential and important to that time in the story I think that we're telling. This is scary to me because people try to fool and trick people like me with envelopes all the time, and they don't quite understand that it's not about me describing what's in the photograph.
Right.
But it is about the stories behind those places and what they mean to the story that we're trying to tell.
Right.
Because I tell people all the time, if I could put my hand on the winning scratchy lotto numbers at the gas station, we wouldn't be sitting here talking. I'd be riding jet skis in Dubai. You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure.
But this is much more important and much more personal.
So this is literally where the river is and the train tracks. So this is the exact area that we made around today, right?
Right.
So let me show you this.
Okay.
Look at this. Let me take you back a little bit.
Oh, wow. That's a lot different.
Yeah. So this is back in the day. This is that same green area.
Okay.
But do you know what that area was back in the early 1800s?
Oh, no, I couldn't tell you.
The Ohio Penitentiary.
Oh, no kidding. It was a prison.
100%. It was a penitentiary back in the early 1800s.
No kidding.
No, 100%. But what's crazy is right where we were, you said you felt like you saw a guard walking up and down the street in that area.
Yes. Yeah, he was walking back and forth, and I was like, why is there so much police presence? So if it was a penitentiary, a jail,
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. That is so crazy.
Okay, so you said that you saw a police officer or a guard walking the street, right?
Yeah, he was wearing like a dark blue or a black long coat, and I remember seeing the badge up here, and he had a big thick mustache, and I kind of remember him having some, I don't know, maybe chunky cheeks or something, but I felt like the way that he looked and the way that he was walking was very like old school police work. So I thought that was pretty neat.
Like he was walking with purpose.
Right.
Got you. Let me show you this.
All right.
Does this look familiar?
Son of a gun. That is exactly what I saw.
From the uniform to the badge to even the mustache,
The mustache,
right?
yeah. Who is it? Is it? Do we know?
So this is actually an unnamed officer that worked on the premises during that time. So this might not be exactly the gentleman you saw, but I think it definitely nails from the uniform to the haircut to the facial hair that they would have had during that time.
Yeah, look at that. And just like the coat, and that's exactly what I saw, like the oversized coat.
Yeah.
It's a very old school kind of police look. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
How about that?
Listen, it gets deeper. So, earlier when you said you saw multiple people walking back and forth, it very well could have been the guards from the penitentiary still on their residual stroll, man.
Right, so if they had walked that beat every day to keep the perimeter of the prison safe, definitely their energy would have been embedded inside the limestone.
100%.
Now, is that the same limestone wall that is there now? Is that a part of the old penitentiary?
Yes, it actually is.
No kidding.
Yep,
so
yep,
that's
yep.
why when I touched it, that's when the image of the police officer came.
They took the rubble from the penitentiary and used some of those same stones to build that wall.
Wow.
So it only makes sense with you touching those stones, it took you back to that specific time frame.
That is so amazing. So what you don't know, and you didn't see yet, is that before we got here from my desk at home, I spoke about, at the very end of my video, that I heard baseball being played to my left, and I saw music or heard music, nobody specifically, being played to my right. On my left side, there's this baseball field that I feel like I should talk about. And then on the right side is a musician, somebody playing guitar. And it feels like a lot of music, a lot of fun, nothing negative or scary attached to this. It's just a feeling of light and happiness that goes with the music. And I don't know why I'm connected to that. And if you look at this map from where we were today, the baseball field is over here to the left.
Oh, wow.
And there's essentially a place where people could have concerts over here to the right.
Listen, man, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
So it's just really cool what we can pick up when we just focus on it a little bit. All right, let's move forward and show me what else you got.
Let me show you how big this prison actually was.
Okay.
So look at this picture. This is the original map that I showed you a few minutes ago, right?
Right.
We were literally standing here, and located here would have been the outside wall of the penitentiary.
Right.
Right? Okay, you look, oh, Dalen, it doesn't look that big. Yeah, right. Literally that penitentiary would have started from here and would have taken up all of these blocks and made this long rectangle right here.
That's huge.
That's humongous. And remember our second location with the finials?
I do.
Literally, that's right here.
So let me ask you a question about the finials. Are they a part of the prison?
100%.
That's crazy.
So back then, the finials would have been located around the perimeter of the prison. Like literally almost like a point on some of the columns that would have been there.
Sure.
Yeah, so being repurposed and placed here for whatever reason definitely had you picking up on something. Then remember, next we went to the stone building, the stone architecture that was literally across the way.
Yes, completely out of place for where we were.
That is one of the few spaces that is actually still standing from the penitentiary during that time.
That is so crazy. Imagine how many people go past that every day and have no idea they're walking through what was a penitentiary full of criminals.
It's insane.
That's amazing.
What's up, Phantoms? I hope you're enjoying the show, and if you are, do me a favor and hit the bell so you don't miss an upload. Also, hit the subscribe button so you can help our channel grow. After that, head over to phantomforensics.com and purchase a digital download package. Some of those packages even come with really nice physical goodies. Every single package that is purchased helps go towards making a new episode of Phantom Forensics. And guess what? We can't do it without your support. So please head over to phantomforensics.com right now and get your digital download package.
So let me go back to the original map so we can take a closer look. So this entire space would have been the penitentiary.
Right.
And inside of that penitentiary were all these buildings.
Okay.
This was the snowy area that we were in earlier this morning.
So the little park would be right here.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. Now, can you tell me what you remember from what you saw during that space earlier?
Right up over here, right?
Yeah.
When we walked up here. So we stopped here, and I remember feeling that there was some kind of executions that happened there, possibly of gallows. Now that I know it's inside of a penitentiary, I'm kind of nervous. So what do we know?
So you hit the nail on the head, man, with the executions.
Really?
Yeah. It was literally the first and only penitentiary that handled all the executions in Ohio during that time.
Okay, so this is where all the executions happened for the
Yes.
state of Ohio, right here in the death house.
In the death house.
Do we have any idea how they executed people?
Yeah, so hangings for a long time, and then that transitioned to electrocutions.
Wow.
Yeah. So 2 heinous ways of going out, man.
Yeah, no
So
kidding.
can you imagine all the residual energy that could just be happening literally just in that corner of land that we were standing in earlier?
I bet you the people, when they come and visit this park, don't like being in that part of it.
And have no reason why. They don't know.
They have no idea why they're uncomfortable. So while we were walking through here, now that I know this is the penitentiary, I had talked about seeing some sort of religious service happen. And I know, being in law enforcement, that in the penitentiaries, they have Sunday Mass. So there's a really good chance that I was picking up on this maybe a priest or a preacher coming in every week, preaching to the prisoners to be calm and docile while they're incarcerated. Okay, so there's a couple interesting things as I'm looking at your key down here at F. This is where the chapel was, near the finials, and that's just about where I picked up on the preacher doing all of that, standing over and doing the worshiping. I also have to wonder, is this the preacher that also would have given last rites to those people that were about to be executed?
Very well could be. Very well could be. Outside of these prison walls right here, located right across the street, was a very prominent company, but their whole focus was building caskets for the entire Midwest.
What?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. I had picked up on the headstones and felt like there was a connection to a lot of deaths.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And I also remember saying that I felt like there were some textiles built there, which if you're building caskets, wood, cushion, cloth, maybe brass and metal.
Listen, man.
That's
the
amazing.
one-stop shop.
So that's why there's so much death there. And it's right outside of the prison.
The walls of the penitentiary.
Boy.
All right, so we're gonna
All right.
come back to the whole caskets. I want to
Okay.
focus more so on the railroad.
Okay.
All right, so you see this rail line here coming all the way around over the river and passing through here.
Yes.
So we saw it when we were standing in this area.
Okay.
So back in the day, this one railroad was owned and operated by a man by the name of William Neal.
Okay.
Now, does that name ring any of a bell to you?
Did we see his name today?
Okay. So when we were standing here, we were actually standing right near Neal Avenue, which is located right on the outside of the perimeter of the penitentiary.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. During my walk, I remember hearing a man with a sledgehammer, and I felt like he was banging away on steel, and that could have been a metaphor for the person who was building the railroad.
You know what, Scott? You might have actually hit on Mr. William Neal a little bit more accurately than you think.
Really?
Yeah, because along with the railroad during that time, you know how you kept picking up horses?
Yeah.
Do you know Mr. Neal's other business was? He literally had a stagecoach business.
What?
So horse and carriages was Mr. Neal's forte back in the day.
No kidding.
So all the horses that you saw, that you kept speaking out during the day, they would have been all during and around that area during that time frame.
Right, yeah, I saw them coming and going a lot. So a stagecoach business, like a modern day taxi, always coming and going.
Exactly.
And you have to bring the horses back to the stables, which I remember when we were hanging out near the limestone house, I remember thinking about the stable. I don't know how close they would have been, but that's definitely right in there. As I'm talking to you, what else was interesting was to bring it back and talking about, and I talked about fire.
Okay.
Do we have any idea if that has anything to do with our story?
Whoa, don't worry now, man. We're gonna get to the fire part of the story.
Okay.
You're trying to jump the gun.
Sorry.
No, I want to get back to the Neals.
Okay.
Okay, not only did the Neals own the railroad tracks,
Right.
not only did they have a stagecoach business.
Okay.
You brought up a lot of things about a wheel, a tavern. You brought up horses and horseshoes. I think
Yeah.
all of that was spot on with Mr. Neal. Literally, Mr. Neal and his wife Hannah were shakers and movers in the city. It was literally everything that you were seeing in painting the picture of was spot on.
All day, I'm just walking around. I said, "There's horse." I could
horses out
smell.
here.
Remember, I said I could smell the horse manure.
Right.
And then I could see the horses and the carriages, and then talking about her, the wagon wheel and the horseshoes. This is incredible how much that actually played into the story. It makes me feel a lot better. I know that I was on the right track.
Oh yeah, for sure. They had their hands in a lot of businesses, you know, from the railroad to the carriage industry. They also had 3 taverns.
Which is nuts, because before we came here, when I did my video from my house, I was picking up on the tavern, and it was really important. I am looking at this very plain red brick building. I'm unsure what the meaning of it is or why I'm brought there, but it is important that I mention it.
Yeah.
So maybe Mr. Neal was reaching out to me already weeks ago when I was just trying to get clued into what I might be doing here. That's amazing.
So it seems like a common theme throughout the day was just us tackling these stories across different time periods.
Right.
So although we were in the same place, from different times, we were in different periods.
Layers of time, baby.
Literally, which is out of this mind when you think about it. So along with crossing over all of those different time frames in the specific area, there were a few milestone events that happened.
Okay.
So in 1913, a huge flood, which you spoke about,
Yes.
literally took over this whole area. You also spoke on a fire.
Yes. The next thing that I pick up on is a fire. This arson, a purposely set fire.
Right. Now this is what's crazy. So in 1930, here at the penitentiary,
Okay.
some inmates decided that they were gonna break out.
Classic.
And to set a distraction, they set a fire.
Oh my God.
The problem is that fire spread very quickly through this whole section of the penitentiary. 322 people lost their lives because they were locked inside of their cells.
Oh my God. That is terrible. No matter what they did to be in there, that nobody deserves to die that
But
way.
that's the sad part. A lot of the people that were locked up in that area weren't even there for some heinous crime. It could be
Right.
nothing that warranted the death of any of them. But do you remember what you said 2 hours after we told you that you were coming to Columbus? What were the 2 items that you said that you saw?
A wall of fire and hastily dug graves. A lot of them.
Okay.
And even this morning I said, the only reason that you would do that is because there was a lot of bodies to bury.
That needed to be moved. Exactly. And let's just see how close you were.
I'm really excited. I'm savoring the moment for a second here. All right. So I'm gonna show our audience this first, and then I'll take a look. Okay. And then I'm gonna take a look. And it's a giant wall of fire.
Yeah, this is
Holy
actually an image from a news article that showed the fire that was taking place.
That is chilling.
Yeah,
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah. It takes you right back to that moment in time, right?
Yes. So what I picked up wasn't necessarily what was in these photos, and that wasn't the point. The point was to pick up more information without the clutter of being in the space.
Right.
And getting a clean idea of what might have actually been happening at this time here. So we picked up on a lot of amazing things, and I am really, really taken aback by the wall of fire here. We took a little bit of a psychic walk through time. We connected with some really important and prominent people from Columbus, Ohio, and we gave some of these people a voice. And not only have we done that, but we've also helped the people who live here connect deeply with their community that they may not have noticed at all. It might have just been a piece of architecture like finials that they
Right.
walked by and had no idea were a part of a prison at some point.
Or standing in a part of a park and you had no idea that executions were there.
Right.
Well, Scott, man, you hit on a lot of things and a lot of different stories, bro. A lot of them were stories of the past. But what's interesting, there's still stories to this day being brought forward.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
What are you talking about, man?
I actually have a young woman who literally lives right here next to the casket company.
Okay.
And she claims that there's some sort of activity happening in this building. So yes, it was cool and fun for us to figure out this story,
Okay.
but how much better would it be if we could help someone out along the way?
That's the best part of this job, to help the living and the dead.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna go there tomorrow, and I would love for you to do what you do.
Okay.
Spiritually, and maybe we can cleanse, set free. You know, a reoccurring theme on the spirit box today was help. Someone needed help. I think this is our chance now to actually help someone who needs us.
Let's do that.
Now, could this spiritual activity stem from the fire, the flood, from the penitentiary across the street? I mean, there's only one way for us to find out.
Yeah.
And you know what that is, right?
We're gonna have to go there.
Exactly.
All right.